Have you ever wondered why some people enjoy games that punish you for being bad at it? Like, what's the point of playing a game when all it does is stresses you out? Well, wonder no more, because I am those people, and you could be too if you stick around and watch the video. For some, it's the feeling of a get from beating a boss that's been kicking their ass for over an hour. For others, it's the bragging rights of beating a game that's notorious for being hard. Yeah, I feel both of those, but for me, the main thing I play difficult games for is the fact that I just get generally better at video games. So whenever a somewhat difficult game comes out, I'm able to enjoy a video game without worrying about whether the game will be too hard or not. I probably wouldn't have enjoyed 9 Souls as much as I do if I hadn't played games like Hollow Knight, Crosscode, or even something like Titan Souls before, because those games prepared me for what a difficult game can be like. If you're into indie games and metroidvanias, you've probably already heard of 9 Souls. Developed by Taiwanese studio Red Candle Games, 9 Souls is a 2D action platformer metroidvania that takes heavy inspiration from games like Sekiro and Hollow Knight. You play as Yi, a cat-like creature who awakens centuries later on a mission to confront the 9 Souls, with the story unfolding as you progress through the game. The game does a good job at slowly introducing the mechanics when you first start the playthrough. You have your typical 2D platformer movements like dashing, running on walls and stuff, but what really makes 9 Souls stand out is the parry mechanic that is introduced early on in the game. Parrying in the game is challenging but not unforgiving. For example, if you don't perfectly time your parry, you still absorb less damage. You take partial damage, which can heal over time if you don't get hit. So you could technically be on 1 HP with mediocre parries and still be fine. Every time you parry, you gain chi, which is used to attach explosive talismans on enemies which cause damage. Although the game is a metroidvania, its metroidvania parts aren't as good as the combat system itself. Sure, you have your difficult platformer sections here and there, but it's not really something that hasn't really been done before. The thing that really stands out to me about this game are the boss fights. The first boss you face was pretty easy, all things considered, until you meet another variant of the same boss that starts shooting flames out of his sword. Yeah, that shit was crazy. I remember there was this one jump that I had to keep doing to get to him, which is super hard to do, before I learned that there was actually a mechanic that requires you to parry on one of these things mid-air to get a boost. So technically, I wasn't even supposed to be there. I was stuck for a good 15 minutes just having to walk from the checkpoint, making that annoyingly difficult jump that's not meant to be difficult, to get my ass beaten by this godforsaken guy. It wasn't until I met the first major boss, Ying Zhao, where I had my first real challenge. You're expected to already be comfortable with the game's controls and mechanics if you're looking to beat the guy. And if you aren't, I'm willing to bet you will be after having died to this thing over and over again. Once I started getting used to the mechanics and essentially memorizing the boss's moveset, the fight started becoming a lot easier, which I think is the strength of the game. It's challenging, but not unfair. If you know the patterns behind the bosses, all you've got to do is execute the correct mechanics to gain an upper hand. The game is really good, but I do have some gripes on it. Like how the map itself is a bit confusing. Whenever you go into a detailed view, it zooms in on a particular floor, which feels really weird not being able to see where I am in relation to that. And also another thing is, I'm all for backtracking to discover secrets and stuff like that, but backtracking in this game can sometimes feel a bit tedious, especially with the lackluster map. So if you're looking for a challenge, 9 Souls is an absolute must play. Even if you're looking to experience this game for its story and its sick graphics, you can play it on story mode where you can adjust the damage you deal and damage you take. So you can essentially play the game on quote-unquote easy mode if that's more of your thing.